In this video, I want to tell you about two very easy ways to access the very highest reality right from the comfort of your own couch. These two methods do not require any training or long hours of meditation. They are immediate and quite easy, and the reason for that is that the highest reality is not far away in some distant galaxy or some higher dimension. We do not need to build a billion-dollar particle collider in order to find it, or sit in a cave for decades meditating. The very highest reality is always exactly wherever you are because it is you. It's not the ego you, it's not the physical body you, although in some way it's also those things. But I'm talking about the real you. Behind your ego, behind your body, behind your mind. And you may not have fully met that one yet, because none of us got a user's manual for one of these things when we were born, like perhaps we should have. To the contrary, we've been steered away from learning about the nature of our own mind and our own awareness by society that wants us to focus on a bunch of other stuff. So it's totally understandable that we might think that the highest reality is so far away from us, up in heaven or in some other universe, but it's not. And this is exactly why in most of my very highest experiences of spiritual reality, there was always an element to the experience that I could sum up with the word already. For example, when my consciousness expanded into the entire universe and I saw myself as this infinite consciousness that unified all things, when I experienced that, I also saw that I was already that I had always been that. It wasn't a new development. It wasn't something that had just happened to me. It's more like a curtain got pulled away and I saw what was already there. I believe that is true for you too, right this very moment, no matter how far-fetched that sounds. And you might have forgotten it, but that doesn't mean it's not true. We might have also forgotten a lot of our childhood, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen. And a big part of why we forget is because we become so focused on this body-mind capsule and everything it experiences. And that's what we're encouraged to do by everyone around us, because that's what they're doing too, because that's what they were trained to do. Furthermore, we experience everything through the filter of this body-mind capsule, and our body-mind capsule is specifically designed to stay focused on material reality, on the physical world. It's not really designed to focus on other dimensions, subtle dimensions of consciousness and awareness. So it's totally understandable that we may have forgotten about the highest reality, but the highest reality hasn't forgotten about us, so to speak. It's never left us, even if we appear to leave it. It never turns away from us, even if we turn away from it. And we start believing that we are this limited, physical, mental, emotional entity called a human being. In other words, what I'm saying here is most of us are making a little mistake about what we are and about what reality is. It's okay to make mistakes. We also make a mistake when we have a dream at nighttime. We're lying in our bed, but we believe there's a monster chasing us, or we won the lottery, or someone we love got hit by a car, or whatever the dream might be. In that dream, we make a mistake. We start to believe that we are the main character of the dream, and we start to believe that everything happening in the dream is real. But when we wake up, we look around at our bedroom and we go, oh, I was just having a dream. That wasn't real. I can just let it all go now. So we shouldn't necessarily trust that conviction we have that we are a human being and that all of this is real. So anyway, there are two really easy ways of noticing the highest reality right here and now, wherever we are. And when I'm saying highest reality, another way of saying that is your true nature. And as I explain these two ways to you, keep in mind that this is not meant to be just an intellectual exercise. This is more of a meditation, more of an inner exploration into the nature of what we're experiencing right now. So you might want to find a comfortable spot on your couch, for example. That's the meditator's best friend. Whoever invented the couch needs a Nobel Prize, in my opinion. And you might want to close your eyes and take a few deep breaths and just relax and focus on your body and your mind and your experience right here and now. But before we do start, I want to set the table for you a little bit. I want to make a distinction between four things that are nearly constant in our experience, which we don't often look at, and we often have them all kind of clumped together as one thing. And for the purposes of this exercise that we're going to do in a minute, we need to make a distinction between these four things. We need to look at them more closely and see that they're actually not the same thing. They are separate things. And those four things are thoughts and sensations and feelings and perceptions, kind of like what it feels like to be a human. Attention, our ability to focus our awareness onto one spot, sort of like you're holding a magnifying glass and you're taking the sunlight, which is all around, and you're focusing it onto one little point. I want you to notice your being, the feeling that you are. It has no words to it, but if you close your eyes and quiet your mind, you'll notice that there's a feeling that's always with us that is just the feeling of being here. If it were to speak, if it were to put into words what it feels like, it would say, I am, or I am here. So I want you to notice that feeling. It's a subtle feeling kind of behind the mind, behind perceptions and feelings. It's even behind attention. And then last, I want you to notice awareness itself. And awareness is behind everything else that we just mentioned. Awareness is that part of us that can notice our attention focusing on, say, my hand. Say if my hand is hurting and I look at my hand, I focus my attention on it. Well, there's a part of me behind my attention that can look and go, I'm focusing my attention on my hand. Awareness is also that thing that can become aware of that feeling of being. Awareness is what knows that we have that feeling of I am. So awareness is behind even the I am. I also want to mention that I am is very beautiful and very important. And if you're just starting to learn how to meditate, or even if you've meditated for many years, you might try doing what's often called the I am meditation, where you just turn your attention onto that feeling of I am, that nonverbal presence of your own being, and just focus on that. It's pretty amazing when you do that. For example, you might find that you end up sitting for hours with a smile on your face. As you explore that I am, you might discover that it doesn't appear to have any boundaries, that it never gets tired, that it never has a bad mood. You might find that its very nature seems to be loving and good, and that somehow that part of you that it just is, it's just always at rest no matter what is happening. It's always in love. It's something to explore if you haven't ever done that before. I highly recommend it. But it's also not the highest reality. So for this video, it's not what we're going to focus on. So I promised you that we would look at two easy ways to access highest reality. And in a way, we've already done one of them, and that is awareness. Our awareness is the very highest reality. It is before the universe. This body doesn't create awareness Just like your television doesn't create the programming, it just receives the program. It is a complicated machine that is specifically designed to hold the program and display the program that you're watching. In the same way, the body mind is just a complicated biological machine that is meant to be like a portal, a periscope for awareness to look into this particular material realm that we live in. As you try to look for awareness, you're going to run into a problem, and that is that it's invisible. You won't be able to find it. You can turn your attention towards it, and you can be aware of your awareness, but if you try to find the source of it, or the boundary of it, or the shape of it, or the color of it, you will probably find, like I do when I look for those things, that you can't find it. There is none. Where is awareness located exactly? We know where the body is located. We know where things are located. We know where emotions are located and thoughts. But where is that thing that is holding all of those things? Where is that knowing of all of those things? That, my friends, it sounds so simple. It sounds too simple, right? Here I was promising you some amazing experience of reality, and this might sound like a ripoff, like it's just too simple. Well, there's something I want to say about that. If I suggested that we become aware of the Earth's atmosphere just as an exercise, what would you do? Most people would probably look out a window and then say, yeah, okay, let's go outside. But my friends, the Earth's atmosphere is inside too. This is the Earth's atmosphere. It's not separate from the entire atmosphere on the planet. When I'm inside my house, I can only experience a small portion of the Earth's atmosphere, but if I step outside, suddenly I'm experiencing a much greater portion of the Earth's atmosphere. And if I flew up in an airplane, I'd be able to experience even more. And if I was in outer space, perhaps, I don't know, this metaphor is starting to fail, but I think you get the idea. When we become aware of our own awareness from within a body-mind, it's like we're inside a home becoming aware of the Earth's atmosphere. We're only experiencing a portion of it, but that doesn't mean that that portion of it is all that we are. The body-mind capsule creates this illusion of separation between the awareness inside and everything else, but that is sort of like a home creating an illusion of separation between the Earth's atmosphere inside and outside. In reality, there isn't a separation. It's the same atmosphere. I don't really want you to take my word for that. If you haven't experienced it, don't take my word for it. I'm just putting out there as a provisional truth for you to explore or contemplate. Or if you've already experienced it but forgotten, then I'm doing this as a reminder. Or if you've experienced it but you've never heard anyone else validate that experience, then I'm validating that experience for you. Your awareness that is inside your capsule is also outside of your capsule. And just like your awareness is sort of the cup that holds your entire experience of being a human being, it is that thing that is aware of every single part of your experience as a human being. It is behind them all. That's how it can be aware of them all. Just like it holds you like a cup, this same awareness is holding all things. It is holding the entire manifest universe of space and time and objects on every dimension. It is behind everything. And yet, here it is, right here also. And isn't that amazing that the awareness that holds everything is also right here in us and never leaves us? And even though we ignore it most of the time, completely take it for granted, because that's what we're encouraged to do by society. No one's ever told us, perhaps, that it was even worth looking at or considering or noticing before. It's like I fell asleep and one of my silly roommates finds that I have the winning lottery card and he sticks it to my forehead. And when I wake up, I'm looking all around the house for this winning lottery card and I don't see it because it's right here. This awareness is right here and we don't see it. And in fact, we can't see it because it is that which sees. It's not a thing that we can see. It is seeing. I don't just mean visually, I mean perceiving with every one of our senses. Even though becoming aware of our awareness from within our body-mind capsule, we might not think awareness is so special. If we keep focusing on it, if we take time to be aware of it, something magical happens. Have you ever been on a beach where you start to dig a hole in the sand and you get down to a level where there's water and the sides of your hole keep collapsing in, and the more you keep digging out, the bigger that hole gets because the sides keep collapsing into the center? Something kind of similar happens when we turn our attention, which is like focused awareness, back onto awareness. Our attention collapses more and more into awareness. And just like that hole gets bigger in the sand, that awareness gets bigger and bigger. And perhaps it was already big. It's just we were narrowly focused. I won't go down that path too much because I don't want to color what you might experience if you try it for yourself. But I will say it's worth trying because that beautiful awareness that you have right here is, honestly, I think it's the most precious thing there is. And on one level, we can say, yes, of course, awareness is the most precious thing that I possess because without awareness, nothing else would be available. Would you rather have awareness or $1 billion? If you have $1 billion but no awareness, then it's like you don't have $1 billion. So obviously awareness trumps everything on that level because it gives us access to experience. But what I'm saying is that's just the beginning of its preciousness. The true preciousness of awareness is not that it gives us access to the universe, is that it is itself precious beyond description. Okay, I'll keep waxing philosophical here. I'll leave that where it is right now. I want to tell you the second easy way to access the highest reality. These are just two ways that I'm thinking of right now. I'm not saying there's only two ways to access it, because that's not true. Another way, for example, is love. Falling into love unrestrainedly takes you to the same place, I believe. I'm pretty sure. I've heard others say that, and I'm pretty sure that that's true. But anyway, the other one that I want to talk about in this video is one that I really like because I haven't heard a whole bunch of people talking about it. And it's so freaking obvious when you actually notice it because it's always been here. What I'm about to point out has always been with you. There's never been a moment when it hasn't been with you, but you might not have ever noticed it before. Just sort of like awareness. And that is the feeling that we have no matter where we are and what we're doing, whether we're awake and experiencing the world, or even if we're dreaming and we're experiencing a temporary dream world that our mind has created, no matter where we are, there is always a feeling of realness to it. There is a feeling of realness to every experience we've ever had. Even if we are having a psychotic break and we're having an experience of something called derealization, that's something psychologists talk about, where things feel unreal. The irony is when we're having an experience of derealization, it feels like it's really happening. In other words, our experience that everything is unreal feels real. If we're in the middle of a dream, it feels real. If we're awake, it feels real. It's so important to notice that even dreams feel real in exactly the same way that the waking state feels real. It's not an insignificant coincidence that those two things feel exactly the same. It's not even coming from the dream that the dream feels real. And when our waking state feels real, it's not coming from our waking state. The thing I want to point out to you is that that feeling of realness is not coming from things, but we make the mistake and think it is. If we're staring into our beloved's eyes and we'll look at her and say, oh, you're here, you're real. That feeling of realness that we experience is a projection from something that actually is real, that is right here, but it's not coming from her. We're just projecting it onto her. Then we're looking at, say, we look at a book and go, yeah, this book is real, or this cup of coffee is real, or my body is real, or my feelings and thoughts are real, my house is real. No, there is something here that's real. And that's why everywhere we look, everything feels real, because the fragrance of this thing that is real just wafts onto everything, everything that we experience. That fragrance is there. It's not coming from those things. It's more like someone put some perfume right below our nose. So everything we look at, we think, oh, wow, this couch smells like this beautiful perfume. Oh, wow, this tree also smells like this beautiful perfume. Isn't that funny? Oh, my hand smells like this beautiful perfume. It's not coming from those things. It's coming from my upper lip. The thing that's real that you will never be able to find because it's not a thing is awareness. Reality is an intrinsic quality to awareness. And just like when you look for awareness, you cannot find it because it is not a thing that can be perceived. It is perceiving. So is reality something that you cannot find because it is awareness. Realness. Notice how close it is to you. Right now, you think you're really watching a video of me talking and that I'm real, or at least this video is real. It's really on your screen and your eyes are real watching. This feeling of realness is so close to us, and yet we can't find it. No matter where you go and what you do, no matter how alone you might feel, no matter how far away the highest reality, your highest nature might feel, or how far away you might think it is, notice that it cannot be far away because you are aware of those thoughts and feelings. It is so close to us, this highest reality, that we can't even see it, just like we can't see our own forehead, but even closer than that. We can't see our own eyes, but our eyes see everything else that we see. Awareness is like that. My current spiritual teacher has a really cool metaphor. He says we're all like bottles of water sitting on the bottom of the ocean. And the water inside the bottle and outside of the bottle are the same water. But the bottle makes it appear like there's all these separate portions of water. And at some point in our spiritual path, we get a revelation, an awakening, an insight, whatever you want to call it. And that's like the cap coming off. And when that happens, the ocean water starts to infiltrate into the bottle. And they start to mingle. That's our insight, our glimpse into a greater reality. And that's kind of what we're doing here in this exercise. We're becoming aware of the awareness inside our bottle and aware of that quality of reality, that quality of realness inside of our bottle. But there is a much greater ocean beyond this bottle. And my teacher says that at some point, the bottle shatters. And even this illusion of a boundary between the inner and the outer disappears. And I believe he's saying that's what enlightenment is. I'll just throw a little aside in here right at this point, because some people have asked me in the comments about my state, because I talk about these states of consciousness. I would consider myself to be someone who is at that stage where the cap has come off, but the bottle has not shattered, for whatever that's worth. To end this video, I'll leave you with that word that I used right at the very beginning, already. I want you to know that you are already that which we're talking about here. It's not going to be a development. It will just be an insight into what you already are.